Davis Schneider, the Babe, Davis Schneider, home run to win the game. We're going to break it all down coming up on today's episode.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. New episode for you. Coming off of a Blue Jays win as they beat the Houston Astros 2-1 with a Davis Schneider bomb in the top of 9. Make sure, just quick housekeeping stuff, make sure you guys follow us on X or Twitter, Braden 5 Wasco, Carter First 2. Also, we've noticed a lot of you guys that watch aren't subscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on other apps, we appreciate the listen. You guys can also find us on TikTok and Instagram for your reels. There, game recaps and such that Carter does, and I sort of throw in other pieces in there as well. And that's at Locked On Blue Jays as well. So Carter, I think it's a huge win. I think to scrape out this one after Berrios gives you just an unbelievable start. I guess let's start with your biggest takeaway from today's game.
It has to be Davis, the Babe Schneider. Are you kidding me? We needed to hit so bad. Our bats were looking horrible again all game, honestly. We weren't working deep into the counts, which was the biggest problem that I saw. It looked like we were swinging at the early pitches that were located on the corners, right on the black, maybe even a little bit outside. Swinging at that, not getting good contact, and getting out early as Framber Valdez went into the 8th inning pitching. So that is a problem. And Davis Schneider, when you need it most, 2 outs. I think he was a 1-1 count. Launches a home run, 423 feet. Huge for the Toronto Blue Jays after getting no hit yesterday. Not a lot of offense again, but Davis Schneider comes through when you need him. A huge bounce back win. Don't know if we necessarily deserved it, but my biggest takeaway is the Davis Schneider clutch home run.
So I think you're the one that said it. 1 for 4 with a home run. Davis Schneider is all we need. And it came to fruition again. We'll take it all the time. He was just electric. I was pretty much we were playing with a bunch of guys, MLB. So we were all sitting in the party. We had the game on the TV, playing some MLB, watching some MLB. It was fun. But then it wasn't so fun because the Jays weren't doing anything after Jose Berrios had a huge start. So then I turned the game off. I'm like, okay, I'm going to just watch the Blue Jays game. I sit on my bed. I start watching. Nothing. All of a sudden, I see the slider come in, and I'm like, oh, not high fastball? Okay. Boom, gone. See you later. Babe hits that one. And it got me like out of my chair. Like I jumped up. I was so pumped up. And this is the exact, when the bats aren't hot, we're usually relying on that if Bichette has a good day, but having Davis in there that can, put a ball over the wall is great. And I don't want to go past, the hits without mentioning, of course, Justin Turner, who had just an amazing day at the plate as well.
Yeah, I think another 3-for-3 day for Justin Turner. Got that huge walk at the end on 5 pitches there to get the runner on for Davis Schneider, who had a obviously huge home run. Just big. I said Justin Turner is going to be instrumental for this Blue Jays team's success, just because you have Vladdy hitting in front of you. You have George Springer, who didn't have a great game today, but then you have Bichette. These guys are going to be getting on base, hopefully a little bit more than they have been so far to start the season. But then Justin Turner is going to be the guy that's hitting with runners in scoring position a lot of the time, or just a guy that can start the rally for the guys in the middle of the order. Again, you're finally you're letting the young guys play. You're getting these productions from the young guys. I think Ernie had another good day today. He went 1 for 3, but I think his at-bats are where it matters. He's always a tough out, whether it's a nice play made by an infielder, running catch in the outfield. He's always putting a good battle out there when he's at the plate. So I think, with Justin Turner, a little bit of this veteran presence with a little bit of these young guys, if we can get some of the guys that are supposed to be in their primes right now and produce for this team to pick up the slack a little bit, I think the Blue Jays are going to be okay. But today, just watching some of these at-bats again, kind of giving me 2023 vibes. And I think we're kind of lucky to get out of this game, especially with Davis Schneider hitting a home run off of one of the best closers in baseball in Josh Hader. Saying that he did look a little shaky today, but we'll take it. 2-1 victory gets us back to 500.
Yeah, we needed it. And you know what? I think the Astros also helped us out with their just horrific base running today. It was all over the map, just horrible. But you have to take advantage of stuff like that when it is a one-run ball game. Those are the games that you need to find it somewhere to pull out that win. And they were able to do that today. So props to, well, of course, David Schneider, but Justin Turner as well on that play. And, we don't talk about Jose Berrios enough. Just an electric start again. He goes 6 innings, 6 hits allowed, which fair enough. Only 1 earned run, 2 Ks, which, I mean, you know what you're going to get with Jose Berrios. It's just par for the course. Not a ton of strikeouts, but, he won't give up a ton either. 3 walks, of course, 1 home run given up, and that gives him an ERA of 2.25. It was just a solid outing, and I think something that me and you talked about before is we expected a big year coming out from him, and so far he's shown us that he could be one of the best pitchers in the league this year.
Oh, it's always the consistency you see from Jose Berrios. He's going to give you 5, 6, 7 innings all the time with a pretty decent pitch count. He's going to get you into games. And this isn't even just a good performance from Jose Berrios. The entire bullpen, again, had another amazing day. Everyone looked really good. The only one that I saw a little bit from was Yimi Garcia. I think he hung a couple pitches that he got away with, especially that one to Jeremy Pena that he did get under. And I think he either popped out or fouled it off, but it was a slider right down the middle. Tim Mayza looked good again, and Chad Green going 1 1/3 innings against the meat of the Astros order. And then at the end there, they got Jose Abreu and then Chas McCormick. So again, a huge day for Chad Green. This bullpen doing what it does, coming in late in the games and saving the Toronto Blue Jays' lack of run support. I mean, if the Jays are going to give you 2 runs, the way it's going so far, they're not going to give you 9 runs. They're going to give you 2 runs. So you better protect that lead. So far, so good, but I hope we don't have to squeak out a lot of games like this throughout the year because this pitching staff is so good. If we can finally just get runs from this team, even 3-4 runs a game, we're going to win a lot more than we lose. It's just a problem when you're only scoring 2 runs off of 1 home run off one of the best closing pitchers in the league. I don't think that's something we can always rely on.
Yeah, and there's 2 things. I got 2 things there from you talking. Number 1, Chad Green doing his best Jordan Romano impression, giving me a little bit of a heart attack with those first 2 at-bats, but gets the job done. Great outing from him after, the first, he was a little shaky off the start, but I mean, he hasn't got a ton of time yet throwing. So I like how he was. Second of all, the Yordan Alvarez throw to the plate to get Bo Bichette out early on in the game was shocking. And I think that's probably why they sent Bo, thinking that it's Yordan, maybe not, the most accurate of arms, and he gunned him down. So I know we were talking to the guys sort of in the party chat as well. And they were saying, they're like, well, what do you want to do? And that's in a team that's not scoring a ton of runs. You sort of got to send that guy when you get a chance to score. And you don't think probably Yordan is throwing Bo Bichette out there, but whatever. Sort of funny thing. I thought something that I wasn't necessarily expecting when I saw him absolutely huck that ball to home.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you got to take a risk on. Like you said, when the Blue Jays aren't scoring runs, when you have a double, I think that was Justin Turner that hit that ball into the gap there. When you have an opportunity like that to score, you got to make the most of it. It's Yordan Alvarez. Doesn't have the greatest arm. I can't remember if that play got cut off. I think somebody might have threw it.
Yeah,
the first baseman there.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a straight throw home, but it was still a good throw on the money to the cutoff man. And yeah, I mean, you got to take that risk if you're the Toronto Blue Jays. I think in that situation, you're taking that 10 times out of 10, and you just got to rely on the rest of the game. And that was very early on in the game. You have 6+ innings after that to hopefully get a little bit more offensive production. Again, didn't really see it too much. But one thing I did want to talk about was actually in that 9th inning, we had a runner on first, I believe it was. And I'm just trying to get the guy's name. I can't remember who it was. I have it written down here, though. Jake Myers trying to steal a base in the second in the top of the bottom. Jesus Christ, top of the 9th there.
Bottom of the 9th.
Bottom of the 9th.
Yeah,
here we go. We're back on track.
Yeah.
Bottom of the 9th. And then he takes a little bit of a tumble. I know he's trying to run out of his shoes a little bit too much, gets the toe stock in the dirt, and then just eats it. So a huge break for the Toronto Blue Jays there. Obviously get that out. And after that, Chas McCormick looked pretty defeated in the batter's box. Kind of looked like he knew the game was over. And yeah, I mean, we're going to take anything we can get out of this Astros lineup. We're not usually asking for too many favors on the pitching side, but in a big spot like that, we're going to take a little bit of a tumble in the Blue Jays' favor.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if there was something going on with the dirt or something today, because there was a lot of like trips and falls or guys not being able to catch their footing a little bit. So I'm not sure what was going on there. It might have just been the guys just weren't all there in their heads in the plays, but who knows? And when we come back after this break, we're going to want to get into just our thoughts on where the bats have been, and should we be looking for the panic button, or should we trust John Schneider and think that everything will eventually turn out in the Blue Jays' favor?
Today's episode sponsor is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of batting against thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I know yesterday I had a bet on PrizePicks. I picked more than on a couple things here. I had Davis Schneider more than 0.5 bases. I thought that was pretty easy. Ended up hitting that home run in this game, which ended up cashing in for me. Davis Schneider strikeouts, I think that kind of comes with Davis Schneider's performance. The only thing I messed up on is I had more than Vladdy home runs. I was really hoping Vladdy could launch for me today. Didn't end up happening, but at the end of the day, if the Blue Jays do win, I'm not going to be too upset. So if you guys want to make some money with PrizePicks as well, you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100.
All right. Well, I think, Carter, we just need to have a discussion on the bats because people are reacting how they're going to react. We react how we see the game, right? And it's disappointing to say the least. On a scale, I'll just say this: on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you with the Jays bats?
Well, I mean, Kirk had a good spring training, so I was hoping for a little bit more production from him. But honestly, again, small sample size. So this probably is a little bit of an overreaction, but we are Toronto Blue Jays fans and we only have 5 games to look at. So, I mean, I'm going to base this just off what I see. If it's overreaction, it's an overreaction. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm a fan of the Blue Jays. Maybe I do get a little bit too emotional about this team, but I feel like everyone does. We're so diehard for this team. Might as well just get into this. George Springer, I don't think he's playing good so far this season at all from the plate. Look at Daulton Varsho. It hasn't been that good either. Alejandro Kirk. These are the guys you need to hit the baseball. And again, they're not doing it. And the problem is that, again, I went over this in yesterday's episode. You have a backup plan for your starters. You have a little bit of depth here. You have backup plans for your bullpen. You have Zach Pop in the minors. You have Yariel Rodriguez, who we'll get into later. Unbelievable day in AAA. If you don't have these guys hit, you don't have anyone. Like, that's it. It's just you're not having hits. And you don't have anyone coming out of AAA. Your best option is Spencer Horwich, which isn't a bad option. But again, is he going to put up huge home run numbers? Is he going to hit 300? No, he's not, unfortunately. You're not going to get that out of your AAA players. So with these 3 guys not producing, it is nice to have Ernie Clement. It's nice to have Davis Schneider hitting a timely home run to win you guys the game, save you the game with 2 outs, because before that, not a lot happened from guys other named not Justin Turner. So again, you're looking at this team offensively. I think there's some alarm bells going off for some people. I'm starting to panic a little bit because if it's early on where it's not seeing anything, again, these are some good pitchers we're going against. Framber Valdez is nothing to scoff at. He's one of the best pitchers in the American League. But you need some more production. You can't rely on Jose Berrios giving you 6 innings of 1-run ball every single time he goes out there. This offense needs to figure this out. They need to find something. Or you might see some changes in this Toronto Blue Jays coaching staff and management because there hasn't been any playoff success, and a lot of that is due to the bats in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, when do we start to worry? Like, John Schneider came out yesterday and said, oh, it's every team has, down days and whatever. But it's like, okay, but last year, what are we saying? It was an entire down year. And then we get into this year and we're saying, oh, it's just one day. Don't worry about it. And then today we have no bats again, other than Justin Turner, who wasn't even on this team last year. So yeah, I'm a little bit panicky. I'm not overly I'm not reaching for the button, but yeah, I'm well aware of where it is in the room right now because I don't want to have to come on here in 3 weeks and have the same conversation. And I think that's for all Blue Jays fans. They don't want to hear me complain about the Blue Jays bats for the next 4 months of the year. So I don't know because the other part of it is Davis Schneider. This is Davis Schneider's really second solid game in the lineup. Why? Put him in the lineup. Let him figure it out. Throw him in. You're
He's played
giving that
like 2
opportunity.
games this year. He's like 2 for 2 with good games in the lineup. He's good when he plays.
Yeah, and Ernie Clements, when he's in the lineup, he's playing well. Yeah, today was a little bit not, his best day at the plate, but he's having good at bats. He still went 1 for 3. It wasn't terrible. And yet some of our bigger guys that are playing every day can't seem to figure it out. So I don't know. I'm sort of like asking you guys as well, the listeners, like leave a comment. Tell us what you guys think. I know probably what it's going to be, but yeah, there's obviously a problem here, and I don't know if this is going to be a quick fix, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, like this game, we're already talking about. We did win today. If you guys didn't realize, we
Yeah.
did win. I know we're being a little bit negative about this, but the thing is, we can't rely on these late game heroics every single time. It's going to be a problem for the Toronto Blue Jays if they can't score runs. And at what point do you think you're going to have to maybe shuffle some things up? But the thing with this Toronto Blue Jays team is that usually they push you away for a few games, and then something big will happen. Maybe Vladdy hits a 430 run or 30-foot home run, and then we're like, yeah, we're back. This offense is back. We're back in on this team. So
Yeah.
it is a roller coaster. But at some point, I wish we could just beat up on a team like what we did against the Red Sox when Raimel Tapia hit that inside the park grand slam. I think it was like 28-5 in that game. I just want a game like that. I feel like we haven't had that from the Toronto Blue Jays in such a long time. Mind you, we just did win 9-2 and 8-2. But again, you have these close games where we're just squeaking out wins. We're not seeing any offensive production. We've played 6 games now. Through 4 of those games, we haven't seen offense. That's 66% of the time. I don't really like that as a Jays fan. I want to see more offense, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fans agree with these statements.
Yeah, and there's going to be games that you lose. Yeah, you get kicked. It's not your day. That's 100%. That's baseball. It's 162 games. It's going to happen. But the problem is when it's a larger sample size of what we saw last year coming into this year. Yeah, we had 2 good games of being able to score runs. But 2 for 6, I mean, if you only win two of every 6 games, you're not making the playoffs. You're not even going to be close. So there's going to be a point here where we got to start having a conversation. And maybe today's not that day. Maybe we be happy with the win. We celebrate Babe and JT and Berrios and the bullpen, and we just leave it be. And maybe, okay, if we see this again tomorrow and continuing, maybe that's when we start hopping back on.
It just sucks as Jays fans because you know how much potential this team has. You know how good this pitching staff is. If you can just get even a mediocre, consistent offense, you can be 15th ranked in the league for the entire year. You're going to be a top 10, top 5 team in baseball every single year with this pitching staff, this bullpen, how good it is. And it's so frustrating when this team doesn't give you that third of the ball, or the half of the ball that you need. You need the bats. You're not getting it. And you have Jose Berrios, who could be an ace on any other team. You have Chris Bassitt, who's going to go out tomorrow after a little bit of a tough first game and probably give you 7 innings. And then you have Kevin Gausman. You have so many pitchers. So it's just tough if this offense just had a pulse in majority of situations. This team could be 6-0 right now. It could go on a Tampa Bay Rays run from last year.
Yeah, for sure they can, because when they are hot, they're hot, and it's exciting to watch Blue Jays baseball. And not that today's game, you know what, I'm not even saying it. Today's game wasn't exciting until the 9th inning. The game sucked. It was a sucky game. I was playing MLB sometimes. I would look over and I'd be like, wow, nothing's happened in 3 innings. So it sucks. That's not fun to watch. I kept looking over at the TV, looking to see if we even have runners on base. Nope, no runners on base. Okay, great. And again, not that we're trying to be uber negative here, because we did get the win and we should be happy. But it's the same problems that we identified last year, the same problems we identified in the offseason, the same problems we identified at the start of this season. Nothing's been done. Davis Schneider's played 2 solid games, and he's been great.
And if this Blue Jays team scores 6-7 runs tomorrow and Chris Bassitt absolutely shoves, I'm going to be all the way back in on this team, and that's just part of the Blue Jays fandom. Yeah. But it's just I have a feeling it's very early on, but if we don't make a move or something, if we ride out this team, I have a feeling we're going to be in for the same disappointment as last season. But saying that, there is a lot of opportunity for the season. We are only 6 games in. It's very early on. There's 162 games for a reason. A lot can change from here until the end of the year. This is a great opportunity to let you guys know about our 24/7 streaming channel. This is one of the best times of the year to be a sports fan with March Madness going on, MLB, NHL playoffs are getting close, the NBA is coming through, the NFL has free agency. There's always a lot going on over there. So if you want to tune into our expert analysis over on that Locked On Sports Today streaming channel, just go to YouTube and subscribe to the first ever 24/7 streaming channel.
Yeah, and when we come back, we're going to go over just some quick news from around the MLB, Jays news specifically, and we're going to do a quick preview of tomorrow's game as well. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. As you guys know, I'm a huge Game Time fan. I use it constantly. Me and Carter were looking to go. We were thinking, well, when are we going to go see a Jays game together? When are we going to cover it? When are we going to go stay in Toronto? We've been looking. I was looking on Game Time for opening weekend. Of course, the tickets were nuts, but Game Time did have some deals on there, so we were seriously debating it. And then a couple more series we were looking at as well. The good part about Game Time is I nail this into you guys is that you can see the view from your seat. That's my favorite part of the Game Time app, because I know exactly what my seat and my view are going to be. And the other thing is they have like a green and red dot to tell you if it's a good price or not, which is great as well. So I know I'm not getting screwed. You guys can browse through the Game Time app. They have a whole bunch of different stuff. The last minute deals are a great thing as well. You can save up to 60% for last minute sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have all in pricing, like I said, toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fee at checkout. It's great. The seat views, like I've said, they also have the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, which is a crazy deal to get. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Game Time app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off from March 25th to April 14th. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So, Carter, before we get into the preview of today's game, I guess I should say, you said you had a bunch of some updates on some players and some just news from around the MLB as well.
Yeah, I'll get into that right now. So the first off is obviously we had the Henny Cabrera altercation where he decided to just try to hype the boys, get it, maybe start a little bench brawl, get the benches cleared at least, trying to get the boys to actually hit the baseball. Didn't end up going too well, but he did. He got first off, it was a 3-game suspension, but he was appealing that. So it did get knocked down to a 2-game suspension for Genesis Cabrera. He served game 1 today, so we will be out for the rest of the Astros series, but we'll be back against the Yankees. So another thing that I mentioned earlier in this podcast was Yariel Rodriguez, and he had his first outing in AAA today, and what an outing it was. So he went 4 innings, 0 hits given up, 0 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and 55 pitches. Just a little bit of a no-hit ball for Yariel Rodriguez out of the gate for his AAA career. You got to love to see that out of his debut, picking up where he left off out of Japan. It's nice to see him fully healthy and fully just shoving on the mound. Braden, how do you feel about that performance from Yariel Rodriguez?
That fires me up. This team, I don't know what his role is going to be, if anything, this year, if it's going to be coming out of the bullpen, or if, depending what happens with Manoah and how Bowden continues to play, there's always a possibility of us seeing him this year. And I think that would be electric. Another great arm is another great arm. We can't really complain about that. So yeah, I'm pretty fired up. That makes me very, very excited.
I think it's going to be interesting down the stretch because with this batting order, don't have a lot of depth over here, but you look at the bullpen, and right now you have your 2 best relievers out, and we're still looking pretty good. Yariel Rodriguez not even in the system yet for our major league team. Maybe we do see a trade going down there from the stretch. Maybe we give up one of these bullpen arms to actually get a power bat, but that won't happen early on in the season, I don't think. They're probably going to let the Blue Jays lineup ride out, see if they can kind of figure it out down the stretch. This is some minor league, more so news. So the Toronto Blue Jays have traded their second/third base prospect and Tanner Morris, who's 26, to just Minnesota Twins in exchange for cash considerations. So, I mean, there's our AAA lineup, as we know, with how much depth we have, so many options we have at third base, second base. literally probably 5 different guys in AAA that could start at those positions. You have Barger down there, or Ellis Martinez, second base. You have Eloy Jimenez. There's so many different guys. There's not a lot of space on this Toronto Blue Jays team for these infielders. So we get some cash out of the Minnesota Twins. Braden, you got anything else to add about this minor league move?
No, it makes sense. I sort of totally understand that move. When you have too many players, you sometimes just got to ship one out, and the odds of that guy ever playing for our major league club are pretty slim anyway. So, yeah, whatever. Doesn't really affect me one way or another, honestly.
Okay, and my last few updates here are from Ben Nicholson-Smith. So there's just a few injury updates and just people that we haven't really talked about much on this podcast in recent weeks because trying to focus on the major league club, guys that actually play baseball, not as much on the injuries, especially when you are talking about Alek Manoah. Wherever this guy is, we finally get a little bit of updates about Alek Manoah. So this is just saying Alek Manoah has a 3-inning sim game tomorrow with Danny Jansen catching. So that's a good sign for Manoah and Jano. Nice to see Manoah throwing some baseballs. We're going to have to see if he's actually efficient and locating with those throws rather than just throwing baseballs. Don't really care if he's throwing baseballs. If you're throwing them at the side of a barn, it doesn't really matter to me. If he's not hitting the barn door or maybe the doorknob, I don't really care what he's throwing. Danny Jansen, nice to see him back. Alejandro Kirk been struggling a little bit so far this spring training. Brian Serven, not a long-term piece here, so it's nice to have Danny Jansen back. The 2 players that will have more of an impact on this bullpen is Erik Swanson getting closer to a return through a bullpen today and felt good. And this is straight from John Schneider, these next 2. So the Erik Swanson one was from John Schneider, and John Schneider also said that Jordan Romano is slated to get back on a mound tomorrow.
Nice.
So we're getting some good news about some injuries with Jordan Romano and Erik Swanson moving their way closer to making a return for this bullpen. I mean, so far, so good. It doesn't look like they need to rush too much because we're looking good so far out of the bullpen. And this last stat I have for you guys today is I thought this was crazy interesting. I thought this was actually nuts because I said how good Josh Hader is. If you guys are MLB fans, you do know how good Josh Hader is. And this is a Davis Schneider stat. And just another, we're going to pump his tires a little bit more on this podcast because he literally saved the game for this Toronto Blue Jays team, along with Jose Berrios and the rest of the bullpen. But a fun fact here is that was the furthest ball ever hit off of Josh Hader's slider, which was his home run ball at 423 feet. Davis Schneider absolutely launched that baseball. I love you, Babe Schneider. Get us back to 500. We needed it bad.
We're going to have to put that on a shirt. I love you, Babe Schneider. That's so funny.
Saving the Blue Jay season, 1 home run at a time.
You know what? If he keeps at the pace he's at, Carter, we're in for a heck of a ride here with Davis Schneider. He's been electric.
Maybe I think what we do here with this lineup is we just have like Ernie Clement hit 1. Yeah. We can have Davis Schneider hit 3, Bichette hit 2, and then we'll have Vladimir 4. Maybe Justin Turner 4 the way he's been playing. Might as well try it. Screw it.
Yeah.
So throw those guys at the top. Let them eat. Let Bo and Vladdy hit after and maybe drive in some runners.
Yeah, we got to figure out something. So whatever. Let Ernie lead us off. See what happens. I love it. Getting into tomorrow's game, of course, against the Astros, Chris Bassitt versus Christian Javier. It should be an interesting pitching matchup, honestly. Like this is the game that I was most likely debating, like that it could go either way. I know we did our series predictions. I had it at 2-1. I think you had it at 2-1 as well.
I did, but I completely inversed the game so far. I'm 0-2 with my actual predictions.
Yeah.
Series on pace, hopefully with a Chris Bassitt win. But I agree with you. I think this is the most up in the air game. This is the one I kind of just wanted to stay away from, honestly. Christian Javier being a great pitcher. But Chris Bassitt, the Hound on the mound, had a little bit of an iffy start. I thought he pitched good, just had that one meatball to Brandon Lau, which he did get punished for, to say the least. But I think we got to roll with the Blue Jays here. I think we both had a win with Chris Bassitt being on the mound. Hopefully we can score more than 2 runs. We need some run support for this team. If we can take 2 out of 3 against the Astros, when you're playing the Rays and the Astros and you get a winning record out of those first 2 series in the opening weekend of baseball, I think we got to take that and run with it, honestly.
I 100% agree. And that's sort of the funny thing, right? We come on here and we talk all this, but we have a chance to go above 500 in the first 2 series against 2 fantastic ball clubs. So this, as much as we are, complaining, there's good things that come out of this too. So, Carter, do you actually have the stats of how our predictions have been so far? I just want to keep poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah, I know you're up. I didn't do like the math for sure. I believe you were up 2 on me after the first series, and now you'd be up another 2 on me because of these next 2 games. So I think you're up 4 points, but I'll give the concrete standings after every series.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we're excited. I'm excited for tomorrow, Carter. I know we'll both be here watching the game again. Yeah, it's going to be fun. This honestly, baseball's back. It's been fantastic. I've watched baseball. My entire day has been baseball for the past week and a half right now because MLB The Show came out. I've been playing that a ton. Also, the podcast and watching the Jays. So, and then it's also where I go to work, and I find that I talk about baseball way too much. That probably everybody is annoyed with me at this point. But it has been fun. Just a quick thing for you guys. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, Braden5 Duwasco, Carter First Two as well. Drop us a subscription here on YouTube. If you're listening anywhere else, we really appreciate that too. Anywhere you guys listen, it really helps us out. But the subscribes also, gives us it's a little bit of a nice little shoulder tap for us as well. You guys can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And then also, we should also throw it to check out the Locked On streaming service as well.
Yeah, I just we'll start with the lockdown streaming service again. Perfect opportunity to check out a bunch of different sports, pretty much everyone that is going on from college sports to professional sports like the NHL and NBA and MLB. Just go to the Locked On Sports Today channel on YouTube and subscribe. Second off here, Brandon, if you're going to poke the bear a little bit about my predictions here for the Toronto Blue Jays, fantasy champion, who won the big jackpot here. So if we're going to run this, then I'm going to have to throw that in your face a little bit more than I have before. I think I've been pretty modest so far, but I mean,
No, you've been all right. You've been all
if you
right.
want
I'll
to
give you
start
that.
something on this podcast, then we'll get it going. And
You know
then,
what? If we're gonna start anything with anybody, I think we start chirping the Yankees, and we start chirping like the Yankees or the Rays hosts or something. Try to
hey,
start a feud.
we got a Yankee series coming up here, so maybe we could start some beef with the Yankees hosts. Before we do head out, though, I just wanted to say that we are posting on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels regularly now with either game recaps, sometimes just some random memes. I know Braden had something cooked up yesterday. I have one. We'll see when it happens. I'm waiting for the moment to pull it out, so we'll be posting on that. So just make sure you're checking that out. Thank you guys for all the support, likes, comments, subscriptions. We always appreciate it. And Braden, that's it for me. You got anything else to add?
No. This was an exciting win. Let's leave it at that. We got out of the against the Astros. It's 1-1 right now in the series. Let's go today and let's take another one.
Keep Davis Schneider in the lineup. Keep Ernie Clement in the lineup. Let them mash. The only offensive production we're getting. Keep him in the lineup, John Schneider. I swear to God.